Hey guys, it's time for part 2 in our series of how to paint a Legio Ignatum Warlord for Adeptus Titanicus, where we step into the realms of the reds.
Alright, before we go gangbusters with the airbrush on the major plates, we have to hunt down the small plates around the Titan's footsies. With a standard brush and some Mephiston red, we lay down a base coat. We'll follow this up with an equal parts mix of Evil Sunz Scarlet and Mephiston red with some water, and cover the top 2/3 of the plates. Then finally we do a highlight of pure Evil Sunz Scarlet with a little bit of water to the top 1/3 of the plate. You don't have to be super precise with this and keep inside the trim, because we will be cleaning up the trim later on, so don't be too stressed if you do have some spillage at this stage. Alright, not a super exciting step, but an important step is making sure you've got all the bits that you want to spray. The amount of times I've had to hunt around my floor of the workshop looking for things. Anyway, so it's important to make sure you've got all your different bits and pieces. Another thing I do, and it might be a little bit pedantic, but is I fairly much plan out what I'm going to spray where, what colours, what patterns and so forth, so that I've got it close at hand when I'm actually spraying. I can refer to it and know what I'm doing. Not a massive surprise here, but with all these small little bits, I do like to make sure I put them on pencils with a little bit of blue tack, so it makes them a lot easier to handle when you're airbrushing. Not a massive surprise here, but can come in really handy. I also like to put the plates for one leg on one pencil and so on. Just makes it a lot easier. Finally, it's airbrush time. And starting with the base colour of Mephiston red. As you know, with using an airbrush, this can take a little bit of time, this first base colour, but it's a very important step in laying a really nice smooth base with multiple thin layers of paint. Feel free to come back, do a first initial coat and then come back again later on to make sure that's smooth and it's fully even, the colour. It's an important step. I'll soon crank up the speed on the airbrush, but whilst the airbrush is doing what it's supposed to do, I thought it'd be worthwhile talking about whether to paint in sub-assemblies or with the miniature fully assembled. It's really, at the end of the day, your call, but I guess a few pros and cons for each I've kind of considered before I kind of chose to paint in sub-assemblies. So from a sub-assembly point of view, the pros are it is easy to paint the sections. You can move them around to whatever angle you need for the airbrush or the brush. And also there's less overspray with the airbrush, so therefore a lot less cleanup work that you may have to do, or how careful you have to be on some pieces. Now, the cons, of course, is it's a lot fiddlier to set up, in gluing a lot of things onto sticks and so forth, and you do have to keep an eye on all your pieces to make sure you don't lose any. You don't see the whole miniature, which can be tricky at times to visualize, you know, what it's going to look like, and if you want to possibly change where you're putting certain colors and so forth. And also you are going to paint stuff that you may not need to. You'll be putting armor plates and stuff over things you've already painted, which, you know, that's a little bit of wasted time, as opposed to fully assembled, which means, you know, it's the pros, I guess, is it's easier to visualize where the colors are going to go. You can see what the end miniature is looking like, so you can adjust if you need to. And also there's no wasted effort. As before, one of the cons of sub-assemblies was the fact that you are painting stuff that you not necessarily going to see, but here that isn't the case when it's fully assembled. However, one of the cons is it's harder to reach spots that you might want to get to, so that's going to be really tricky painting. And also the miniature's one big piece and you're handling that, it can get it's a bit more difficult, I feel, to paint it. Also, if you are using an airbrush, there's a fair amount of overspray, which you might need to clean up, which yet again can be frustrating in a different way. Anyway, your call. I prefer constructing it kind of at the end, putting everything together like a manufactorum, and then, you know, the big reveal when it's finally all painted, you bolt it all together. But yeah, your call, really. Someone forgot to record the second step with the airbrush, which was the equal parts Evil Sunz Mephiston red mid-tone, which covered 2/3 of the plate. So we'll move on to the final highlight, which is my favorite part, which is the really nice Evil Sunz Scarlet on its own, which we apply to the top 1/3 of the plate. So enjoy more zoomies. Let's hold off on the zoomies for a sec. I thought it'd be worth showing you again just that top 1/3 of the plate that needs to be highlighted.
So, I hope you liked that video on how I got those vibrant reds. Next up is probably my favourite part of making the Legio Ignatum scheme, which is the hazard stripes, which has really nice blacks and that worn yellow effect. So it all comes together with the help of some masking, the magic masking tape. So, hope to catch you in the next video.